afternoon. I, Shaila Kamath, Assistant Professor from the Department of Secretarial Practice, would like to extend my warm greetings on behalf of all from Besant Women's College for the Day 3 session of the 6 days International Level Faculty Development Program on Perspectives and Strategies on Contemporary Issues in Physical Education and Sports, organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Department of Physical Education and Sports in association with Physical Education Foundation of India, PEFI, Karnataka chapter, recognized by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. Before we begin with the session, let us invoke the blessings of Almighty.
Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavighnopashantaye Agaja Anana Padmarkam Gajananam Maharnisam Anekadantam Bhaktanam Ekadantam Upasmahe Ekadantam Upasmahe.
Now I request Mrs. Usha, HOD and Associate Professor in Economics, to welcome and introduce our resource person, Dr. Sundar Raj Urs, former Principal of UCPE, Dean Faculty of Education, Bangalore University, and former Registrar Evaluation, Bangalore North University.
Warm welcome to all the participants. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the participants. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the esteemed resource person of this session, Dr. Sundar Raj Urs, former Principal, University College of Physical Education, Bangalore University, and former Registrar Evaluation of Bangalore North University. Professor Sundar Raj has a multifaceted personality. He gained rich experience as he held different positions in Bangalore University as Nodal Officer of Youth Red Cross, NSS Coordinator, Member of Academic Council, Director of Physical Education, and Dean of Faculty of Education. He also served as the Finance Officer and Registrar Evaluation of Bangalore North University. He was the Nodal Officer of Karnataka State Eligibility Test 2016. Dr. Sundar Raj was a visiting member of National Council for Teacher Education. He was very good in sports from his school days and has won many prizes and championships. He is a life member of many sports-related professional organizations. He served as the elected secretary of National Association of Physical Education and Sports Sciences. Currently, he is the president of the Physical Education Foundation of India, Karnataka chapter. Dr. Sundar Raj Urs is an ardent researcher with more than 35 years of research experience. He has successfully guided 24 scholars for their MPhil degree and 21 scholars for their doctoral degree. The major areas of his research interests are the sports psychology, yoga-related practices, and anthropometrics measurements. Dr. Sundar Raj has published more than 35 articles in national and international conferences on topics related to sports and yoga. He also contributed articles and published books which have been selected by the State Library Selection Committee, Government of Karnataka for the schools. Dr. Urs is known for his organizing skills. He has organized many all India level tournaments. Dr. Sundar Raj is also interested in extension work and contributed to the society by involving himself in programs organized by the Government of Karnataka, Bangalore University, and other physical education associations, especially for the youth. He is a much sought after resource person in the field of physical education and sports sciences. He has delivered keynote address and chaired the sessions in various conferences, refresher courses, and training programs. Professor Sundar Raj has a passion for acting in movies, writing articles, and giving live commentary on sports events. Dr. Sundarraj Urs is an achiever himself. He has won the Best Teacher Award from District Governor Lions Club Bengaluru, Best NSS Coordinator State Award among the universities of Karnataka State from His Excellency Governor of Karnataka in the year 2013-14, and the State White Blood Cell Award by KVK for the outstanding work done as coordinator for blood donation in the year 2013. With this brief introduction, I present our distinguished resource person, Dr. Sundar Raj Urs. On behalf of Besant Women's College, Bangalore, I extend a very cordial welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
A warm welcome to Shri Shrikant R, Secretary, the Physical Education Foundation of India, Karnataka chapter. Hearty welcome to all the participants. Have a fruitful session. And I request Dr. Sundar Raj Urs to take over.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your nice words. Respected chairman of the patron of this organization of the webinar, the principal of the college, advisory committee members, and the organizing secretary of this conference, Rupa, and my dear professional colleagues, friends. It brings me a great pleasure in delivering the lecture in this webinar related to the psychophysiological issues during and post-COVID. Dear friends, it is not an easy task to talk about the psychophysiological issues. Whenever we talk on psychophysiological issues, we should know that this differs from individual to individual, from person to person. Especially when we talk of the psychophysiological issues, the very concept of during COVID, we should also know the highlights of this COVID. COVID-19 disease originated in December, as you all know, in 2019 in Wuhan, Hubei province of China. And then the World Health Organization has declared the COVID-19 pandemic as a global health emergency. Since then, it has affected society and the global economy. It also affected the social, cultural, education, and the economic life of India. What are the people affected in this COVID? School-going children, college-going youth, employees from industry to institutions, and unorganized sector laborers, farmers, shopkeepers, street vendors, so on and so forth. Apart from all these, very important other three sectors of population who are deeply affected by this COVID is from psychosocial and psychophysiological issues are the old age population. Just think about the old age homes and the people who are staying in Golden in the metropolitan cities. Now there is no one to take care of them, thanks to some organization and youth organization who are looking after in supplying medicine and groceries and taking care of them. Otherwise, there are those who are already suffering from the health problems, especially the old parents and the people are no way for them to go for an hospital or any clinic, as all clinics are shut down, only the COVID centers are open. In this pandemic situation, I think there is a greatest challenge before us with regard to the psychophysiological aspect and issues are concerned. Apart from the old age, another important population is the population with disability. It's very unfortunate the people who are disabled and they are at home, and many were leading independent life. Now they have become helpless, no transport, no access to the people, and they are in isolation. And you can think about hygiene problem, even including washing on the floor or looking after the sanitation, personal hygiene. This has become a biggest issue with regard to the disabled population is concerned. And those persons suffering from health problems, you're coming across number of issues like that in the TV channels as well as in the newspaper every day, that there is no one to take care. Many of the people go round and round the hospitals, no admissions. There is no care for their illness, and there is no one to look after them. This is one of the greatest challenge before all of us. And who are the people who are affected and how it is affected if you see closure of learning institution, starting from kindergarten to post-graduation, whether IIT, IIM, all research center, IIF. Indian Institute of Science, today I was reading the paper. I saw one Indian Institute of Science student. He was today, he was, unfortunately ended his life, fearing over the COVID. If the things like this happens in this country, imagine the poor people, people who are in poverty, people who are illiterate, what is their mental trauma with regard to this COVID is concerned. So all youths, whether it is college going or youths who are working population, and even the sportsmen, they were under isolation. Another important aspect of this COVID-19 is the big effect on the employment. Most of the employers have removed, not terminated. Some people are working in a 50% or 20% salary. And with this condition, imagine their psychological and problems that they are paying. Regarding poverty, I need not tell you. And these poverty and unemployment and pandemic and isolation, all these aspects have brought inequality in the society. That is one of the greatest problems we are facing today. There are poor class people, middle class people, rich, and even the poverty line. So isolation issues and myths. This is a great challenge before the country and the society. If someone is affected by the corona, you will be looked down. And people are not properly educated with regard to the coronavirus is concerned. It is like any other flu. But only thing, you have to be very careful. And you have to follow the protocol. That is the most important thing one has to follow. The protocol has to be strictly followed and kept isolated. You're not isolated from your family, not isolated, and there are a lot of other ways of getting contact with each other. But the people who have been isolated because of this COVID have a lot of issues, and people, they don't talk to them, they don't interact with them, and imagine their psychological trauma. And another one is issues related to the hygiene. I need not tell you about what standard the Indian population has got the hygienic knowledge, whether it is personal hygiene or community hygiene. And that is the reason that the schools and colleges work out, that is, it is a larger interest of the community because of maintenance of the personal as well as the sanitation issues. The closure of institutions resulted badly on the homemakers, especially on the female, to maintain and protect the children in isolation. It's not so easy. It is very difficult in that period, pandemic, to keep their children in safety, not allowing them to go and participate with others, not going out and have some fun, sports, or other activities as it is bought. Imagine the conditions of the family where there is no economy and many of them are due to unemployment. The maintenance of the family has become the great challenge that led to the psychological issues like fear, anxiety, stress. On the other hand, health problems, those who are already vulnerable to the infections and diseases are not being properly taken care. See, if the people are very curious, very anxious, fearful with regard to this pandemic, and they are worried looking after the neighbor, looking after the TV, reading newspapers. So these psychological issues has become a greatest challenge of the day. As you all know, psychology, psychophysiology is the study of interrelations between the body and mind. As we all know, body and mind are the inseparable units of human organism. In that, mind is considered as the master and body as the slave. It is the mind which directs the body. It is the mind which takes the decision. It is the mind which is most important. That's why we take more and more importance to the mental health, mental faculty. Psychophysiological disorders are physical disorders with psychological overlays. Many times what happens, there are already some physical disorders, but it has been overlaid by the psychological issues, psychological problems. The psychophysiological measures you can easily identify, such as heart rate, blood pressure, skin conductance, optical imaging, muscle span. These are the good examples which you can easily identify measures when you are in psychological problems like stress, anxiety, fear, and even to a certain extent, emotional issues and problems. There are two main types of psychophysiological issues. The first type of psychophysiological issue is sometimes called somatoform, somatotype. Psychosomatic disorders, we call it, provide. This is when people's symptoms have no physical cause, but they are totally in it. It is totally a psychological issue. The other type occurs when physical symptoms have a physical cause, but are made worse by the psychological issues. Yes, of course. There are some ailments, there are some problems from the side of the bacteria or some from the side of the virus, just like this COVID. But it has been overwhelmed, over-focused through the psychological issues of fear and anxiety. The psychophysiological issues have an impact differently from different people and groups. There are three phases I have seen. One is working personals, homemakers, and children. The very reason for all kinds of psychophysiological disorders are due to mental issues which dominate over a time and exhibited through stress. I want to draw all the attention of all my viewers and listeners. The stress is the most dangerous element. And you should know how to induce stress. The technicality You should know how to manage the stress. And there is no one who is exception for stress, whether it's P1 to the principal or from a common layman to the president of India. Everyone is surrounded and is suffocated by this kind of stress in this modern time. If we working personnel, take working personnel, the maintenance of the time and issues related to this job chart and homemakers satisfying the kids, family members, looking after their welfare, and children. And children are those who always want to be free from bondages, want to have enjoyment, fun. No fun, no enjoyment. Only thing is the sitting in front of the three screens, either on mobile screen or laptop screen or TV screen. What happened? Spending more and more time on these, what will be the condition of psychophysiological issues are concerned? So now I wanted to come to my main focus of the talk. How this stress affects physiologically. How stress affects on the body. And this is what, according to American Institute of Stress Management, identify certain physical problems. The first problem is the heartburn. Stress increases the production of stomach acids, which could lead to heartburn and may lead to worse. Many times what happens, we ignore the symptoms of this heartburn and we'll take the oral medication. We'll not refer to the doctors, though it is a psychological issue. It's directly affect on your heart. And if you overlook it, ultimately it leads to the worse. Another aspect is the headache. Stress can trigger and intensify the tension, headache. It is called as a tension. There are a number of types of headache. It is psychophysiological, considered as psychophysiological disorders. But I will deal only one headache here. That is tension. When you are in tension, when you cannot cope up some kind of the given task, either from your family or from the boss or from the workplace, or ignoring your own ability, accepting the challenges also lead to this kind of a stress and trigger to the headache. The very important thing is you should know your limitations. You should blindly reject if you are not in a position to do that. Unfortunately, what we do, we are unable to list out our own weaknesses. We always list someone's weaknesses in our daily life, not our own weaknesses. That is why a well-known psychologist, Sundar, says that listen to your body. Listen to your body. Body will give you certain signals and trigger offs, some impulses where you can listen and you can manage and maintain your health. Another effect of stress on your body, is the rapid breathing. When you are stressed, the muscles that help you breathe tense up automatically because of the stress, which can leave you short of breath. When you feel short of breath, and when the oxygen intake becomes due, when the supply becomes less to the demand, automatically you'll face a lot of problems. So, risk of heart attack. Over time, an increased heart rate and high blood pressure damages one's arteries, which could lead to the heart attack. Whenever you are in stress, when you work overtime, and when you automatically invite the pressure, stress, and other aspects, automatically you increase your heart rate. The high blood pressure damages one's arteries. When the blood rushes due to the pressure of blood, the arteries will damage, which could lead to the heart attack. So, the stress is the main cause many a time for the heart attacks. The overburden and working on overtime and inviting a lot of risk and problems without knowing my own ability, without knowing my own strength, my own stamina, whether the workload can sustain. They can sustain this workload for a longer time without caring for all these things. When you allow the stress to over for a period of time, automatically it leads to the heart attack. Pounding heart, stress hormones makes the heart to pump faster so that the blood can quickly reach to the vital organs of the body. See, sometimes I'll tell you stress is very important. That's why we call it as a stress when it reflects on your adrenal glands. Automatically, your brain release and chemicals which always gives some kind of the tips and impulses for you to trigger off with certain ideas and come out with the fight or flight mode. That is most important. Stress is very necessary. Stress is very, but the amount of stress, the level of stress one has to maintain. If the level of stress go beyond the limit, automatically it affects on your body. Stomachache. Stress affects the digestive system, which can lead to stomachache. Nausea. Nausea is nothing but the vomiting sensation. And other tummy problems, any problem is related to your stomach. It is because of the stomach. It is because of the stress. Stress already told you that it affects directly on the glands. And you know that how the glands secretes the chemicals which are highly necessary to make up the physiological chemistry of our body with regard to our metabolic process and the digestive tracts. All this becomes upset automatically when you are in stress. And also tense muscles. This you will come across as a sportsman. When you are in stress, make the muscles tense up, and chronic stress can lead to the tension and backache. And this is quite common in the people who works in the corporate sector for more than 8 to 9 hours on this computer system, where they doesn't take care of certain exercises. Yesterday, Dr. Prakash has given a very good tip of exercises which can be make use to overcome this kind of stress and this kind of back pain and other issues related to the stress. So, high blood pressure, I need not tell you all the above aspects which rises the blood pressure. Since the stress hormone tighten blood vessels, which can lead to the high blood pressure. That is one of the most dangerous things. You will come across the people who are in a high blood pressure, high BP. They cannot have a control over their own what? And this high blood pressure leads to the heart attack. And unfortunately, many people, they don't take care of their personal issues. Like I have mentioned, the smaller issues which are triggers in the very beginning. When you leave it for a long period of time, the accumulation of this will become a worsen, and automatically you lead to a chronic problem. And high blood sugar. Stress causes the liver to release extra sugar, that is glucose, into the bloodstream, which over time puts someone at risk. And many a time this leads to the type 2 diabetic. And India has become one of the highest population having diabetic. This is because of one way, it is physiological as well as psychological. Many of the people, even after becoming diabetic, they don't follow the protocols of healthy life. That is another important thing. One has to be more careful with regard to the diabetic. A diabetic, it's not a big issue, but it makes a big issue. That is most important, and one has to take care. And weaken the immune system. Let us come to this COVID pandemic. In this post-COVID and COVID situations, you find many of the people talking about the immune system. And there are a number of advertisers in this TV and in the paper. And also many people are coming out with pharmaceuticals, with immune drugs. But one should know immune system is directly related to the gene. And immune system is not a cup of tea which can be enhanced within no time. It takes a long time. And one of the best way of enhancing your immune system is the exercises and activity. It is nothing but a defensive mechanism which is in our body to fight against the foreign elements. That is a resistance power. Resist to the challenges, resist to the various conditions. That immune system has to be developed through the exercises and with proper nutrients. But unfortunately, what happens? When the stress becomes more, the accumulation of more and more stress reduces your immune system. That is another important thing to be noted. Even though your body is capable of fighting against the foreign bacteria, but unfortunately your brain, your mind, that pass on the message that you have become weak. Unfortunately, the stress makes you to accept that I am not be able to cope up with this condition. That is one of the things where number of people are dying in this body. Not because of the COVID, because of lack of confidence. One has to have a confidence on your own system. This is the partner. This is your life partner. It comes throughout your life. And you should know your own biological system. You should know what is your right and what is your wrong thing. Unfortunately, this has led to a lot of problems in this COVID. And those who are already vulnerable to the infection, those who are already having some sort of the problems with the cardiorespiratory problems, especially it is a acute pressure on your respiratory system. It damages the respiratory system as long as your respiratory system is strong enough. And this virus will not affect on you. How to make your respiratory strong? By doing yoga, pranayama, kapalabhati, anuloma, viloma. There are a number of ways, even aerobic exercises, dances, intensified activities definitely helps in bringing your strength. And when you become your cardio fit, as yesterday, my good friend Prakash told, as long as your heart becomes athletic heart, you have to work out. And once your heart becomes strong, that's enough. That's enough. There lies the health. There lies the fitness. That is what I was telling last time when I was addressing to one of the webinar. I was telling this concept is not a new to all of us, to the society, to the world. Everyone knows Darwin's theory of evolution. From the Darwinian theory of evolution, we have come to the conclusion that survival of the fittest, only one who survives will survive. And activity is the basis of life. That are the two important aspects we have learned from Darwin theory. But we have become sedentary. And we are not ready to sweat. And if you ask someone to come for a walking, you realize why I should come. If you go for a walk, some will come and ask you, sir, are you not healthy? Why you are walking? That has become a laughing stock of the day. See, exercises are very important, and that only can bring down your stress. And another is the insomnia. This is because of the stress. Stress makes it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep, which ultimately lead to the sleepless disorders. Due to the lot of stress, work pressure, when you go to the bed, you will not get a sleep. That is the reason you must be very, 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 very cool and calm. You have to prepare yourself, your mood, your mind for a good sleep. Don't take all junk materials to the bed. And that disturbs your sleep. And ultimately, when you read out this very easily, you bring down the stress. Automatically, you will get to sleep. Many times, what happens? I will come to those points afterwards when I talk on the psychophysiological disorders. So, increased depression, a chronic stress leads to the mood disorder that can affect the daily life. It may be described as feeling of sadness on one hand and anger. They don't want to come out. They want to be isolated themselves. They decide themselves they cannot be useful to this society. Ultimately, this sadness, this depression makes someone to succumb their life and surrender themselves for the death. Lack of confidence, lack of strong feeling. So that is the reason. ಶ್ರೀಕಾಂತ್ ಹೇಳಿಪ್ಪ ಫುಲ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಬರ್ತಿದೆಯಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ ಒಂದು ನಿಮಿಷ ತೇಜು I have made it full screen anyhow. So another full screen ಇದೆಯಲ್ವಾ increased anxiety. The increased anxiety is due to this stress. Increased anxiety is also another important, point to be noted from the point of stress. When someone feels anxious, the body goes on high alert, looking for possible danger. So, activating one's fight or flight responses, which I have already told. As a result, anxiety lead to the nervousness and restlessness. This will be understood better by a sports person. When they are if you are not capable of fighting against an opponent, automatically will be nervousness. At the time of on your mark, when you go to the 100-meter race, you will find this nervousness when there is already one fellow who is the champion next to you. If you don't take it in a positive sense, and you should consider this is my best opportunity to fight this fellow. If I become first, and I will be the champion. If I lose, no problem, I'm losing to the greater place. That should be a positive ideas and thoughts has to be developed. And now I'll come to the common types of psychophysiological disorders. These are called as the psychosomatic disorders, in other words. And there are millions of people suffering from this kind of disorders in our society. So, the very first one is the migraine. Migraine headache can cause throbbing in one particular area that can vary in intensity, and it may create nausea. I have already told the vomiting sensation. And they want to keep away from light and sound. Light and sound, you take these two important aspects. These are the two common symptoms. Because of the COVID, I have already told you, most of the people are on playing the video games and also listen to the music. The sensitivity of the light and sound It becomes the common symptom of this migraine. Overuse age of these. And what causes the migraine? Stress at work, or even sometimes sensory stimulus, bright lights, and sun glare can induce. Further, loud sound, strong smell also trigger migraine in some people. Some people cannot able to manage with the smell of the turpentine or paint. And this has got number of variety of symptoms. And it's not, you cannot list out one or two. It differs from individual to individual. And this affects. During migraine, these stimuli feel like all-out assault. The response produces an outside reaction to the triggers. It is nothing but electrical system firing all cylinders. As you all know, that neurons which are already in our brain cells. And they will triggers because of the heavy sound and light. That's why the reactions will be very, very critical. The electrical activity causes a change in blood flow to the brain, which in turn affects the brain nerve, causing pain, a chronic pain, and they want to stay away from everything. They want to stay from everyone, away from light, away from sound, away from everyone, and they don't get to sleep. That is another important lacuna here. There can be variation in the level of migraines and the regions of the pain. Severe migraine will cause the whole head region to ache, where the not so severe ones may be forehead. Sometimes you may call it as partial headache, left side or a right side, or sometimes it is covered the whole head. How to handle the migraine? Turn off the lights and relax in the dark place. Close your eyes. Go to your extreme corner of your room. Select a corner and close your eyes. Go for a deep inhalation, exhalation. The temperature therapy, apply hot or a cold compresses to your head, neck, which may bring down the sensation of pain. Put an ice pack on your forehead, scalp, or neck to get pain relief. Even sometimes they homemade these things, they will advise to keep the chop of onion pieces on your hand, on forehead. Reducing the flow of the blood might be a part of it. You can also try to frozen gel pack or wash clothes that's been rinsed in the cold water. As COVID limits the access from the outside sources, home remedies are considered to be more useful than taking tablets for the migraine. As it is well suggested, chemical is not the substitute for any of your pain, any kind of your problem, unless it is affected by the bacteria, unless it is affected by the some kind of infections. So don't try it when you are in a middle of the migraine attack, because it can make you hurt more. But when you feel well, a regular workout can prevent headache. And during the migraine, don't go for it. When you feel that you are comfortable, go for some kind of workouts, exercises that definitely brings down the migraine. Get some regular shut eye to help stave off migraines. Too little or too much can trigger headaches and lower your thresholds for pain. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of each night. Headaches, I have already mentioned one headache. Headaches are the most common type of health problem, and which has been suffering from lots of population in India. A primary headache is not a symptom of an underlying illness. Instead, these headaches result from problems in solving structures of head and neck, and sometimes our daily issues, small issues may cause a certain amount of pain that can be ignorable. A primary headache may be due to the overactivity of specific areas of the brain, blood vessels, muscles, nervous, and brain chemicals. Common types of primary measures include the cluster and the tension headache. Also, headaches can result from using medication for the pain too often. In this case, a person has a medication overuse headache, and this is another type of primary headache. The causes of a headache can be listed as emotional stress, such as anxiety or depression. Once again, that's why it is called like psychosomatical disorder, psychophysiological issues. Once you are disturbed emotionally, because we are all human beings, it is very easy to say that don't disturb, don't get into the emotional disorders. But of course, as a human being, you should be in a position to accept whatever it comes. Be realistic, be positive, don't get disturbed with the emotional stress. Such leads to the anxiety and ultimately a depression. Another aspect is the medical conditions such as migraine or high blood pressure. The persons who are suffering from high blood pressure should be very careful with regard to this, inviting stress. And that leads to the headache. Physical conditions such as injuries, sometimes it may be because of the injuries that you need not worry about for such things. But even sometimes the environmental factors such as weather condition may also lead to these. See, the tension type headache, this falls under the types of headaches. One of the category that headache is a type of primary headache that occurs in the middle of the day. In the middle of the day, you will find that is due to the tension. You should know very quick what is your tension, what you have to do. There may be some kind of a pressure on your side with regard to the you are completing the work or completion of your project or completion of your, sometimes it may lead to the this kind of headache. There are categories in this type of headache. Episodic, these attacks usually last for a few hours or sometimes for several days. And sometimes you if you go on you go on assessing your own issues, you will come to know that what exactly when you will get these type of headaches and what would be the reason. So chronic, another aspect is the chronic headache. This involves the tension type headache, which occurs for almost 15 days of a month or almost 3 months it may remain because of the tensions. Unless you clear the tension, the headache will not go very easily. The symptoms of tension headache can be the person feeling uneasy and feel like that they have tight, band around their head. That's why so many of the people, they will also tie the band and they cannot manage that, the pain. A continual or a constant low intensity pain or a sides of the head, which may become strong. Pain to the head originating from the neck region and sometimes vice versa. Treatment remedies for headache. Over-the-counter medications such as non-steroidal and inflammatory must be very careful when going for a medicine. Doctor or a physician prescribe pain relief medications, herbal and naturopathic health products. And another very important thing is meditation and yogic practices. That is what today has become more and more prominent and important throughout the world. Medication and meditation will remove your stress down immediately, and it is quite possible. It is not a big issue. You can practice this and regularly if you practice, and you can bring down the stress and the depression down. Eat regular meals to maintain the constant blood pressure, and there is another important thing. And you have to eat regularly. You fix up your time taking diet and limit alcohol intake. And it's not advisable to say limit. And if you don't take, it's good. And increase intake of water. Intake of water helps you to bring it down in balancing the chemical imbalances in your physiological functioning. Peptic ulcer is the another one of the psychosomatic disorders which comes under the psychophysiological issues. Develop in the lining of the sensory lower esophagus or small intestine. They are usually formed as a result of inflammation caused by the bacteria, which is E. pylori, as well as from erosion from stomach acid. Peptic ulcer are fairly common health problem. There are three types of these peptic ulcers: gastric ulcer, that is stomach, and esophageal ulcer. It remains in the esophagus area, and and duodenal ulcer. It is duodenum, and I will not go in detail because I'm not a clinical expert. But the peptic ulcer can be varied from person to person once again. It also depends upon their dietary. And if the bacteria that cause a stomach infection and inflammation, I have already told you with E. pylori, frequent use of aspirin, Bayer, and Bufen, and the tablets that anti-inflammatory drugs with oral medication also causes for this. And apart from that, two important habits: smoking and drinking. The smoking and drinking affects for these peptic ulcers. And whenever you smoke, most of the time, people smoke to reduce the stress, but they aggravate the stress. When you smoke, it will not reduce the stress and it doubles the stress. Even drinking too much of alcohol, people will go there to, to reduce the stress, and they will impose more stress while coming out of the company. That very very careful with regard to the smoking and drinking, and it is not advisable at all. And if you are habituated and control yourself, don't go for such kind of practices when you are in stress. And concept, these factors are mainly caused due to the pressure to perform at either work or any other aspects. Symptoms of peptic ulcer can be listed as: the most common symptom of peptic ulcer is burning about and pain, and extends from the navel to the chest, which can range from mild to the severe. In some cases, the pain may wake you up at a night sometimes, and small peptic ulcer may not produce any symptoms in the early phases. In the very beginning, nobody will be knowing about this, you know, ulcer. And when it aggravates, when it becomes chronic, then one has to suffer. As we saw, the small peptic ulcer as asymptomatic at the beginning stages, hence they go unnoticed and lead to much worse conditions as they are allowed to develop to future stages. That's the reason one has to have a regular diet protocol, and also he has to have a control over his hobbies like smoking or alcohol, and try it. Most of the time it's very advisable to go for a meditation, or for a some kind of yogic exercises, and even some kind of physical exercises which helps you in overcoming this. So other common signs of the peptic ulcer include changes in appetite, and it reduces your appetite. And sometimes people very very you know uh, they're fond of eating stuffed foods, and even the junk foods also lead to this kind of the problem: nausea, the black, and even it can be recognized by your stool. Unexplained weight loss, automatically your weight goes down, and indigestion, you cannot digest uh, as usually when you take your intake, and frequent vomiting sensation. Ultimately, it leads to the chest pain. Treatment of peptic ulcer. The treatment is based on the fact whether a person has been infected by, as I already told, by the pylori, the bacteria. If the person has the pylori infection, then doctor will prescribe a combination of medication. Will have to take the medication for up to 2 weeks. The medication include antibiotics to help kill the infections and to help the reduce stomach acid. If the person intakes these medications, there is a possibility of minor side effects also, like diarrhea and even upset your stomach. If the person with peptic ulcer is found not to be have infected by the bacteria, that can be recommended to prescriptions or a PPI, that is the proton pump inhibitors. It is nothing but which helps in reducing the stomach acid and help in the ulcer heal. Acid blockers like Pepsi can also reduce stomach acid and ulcer pain. These medications are available as a prescription and also over the counter in lower doses. Peptic ulcer is mainly caused by the excess release of acid by the stomach to digest food, and if controlled, can be cured easily. You know that how the digestive system functions, as the glands and hormones helps in digesting processes in relieving the chemicals. And if that chemical is overdosed, then it will have an effect on these. And irritable bowel syndrome, that is also called IBS, is the intensified symptom that typically occur. The symptoms vary in severity and duration from person to person. However, they last at least 3 months for at least 3 days per month. And this becomes another major risk of health. IBS can cause intestinal damage in some cases. However, that is not common. You not worry about it. It's not a common this thing. Does not increase your risk of gastroenteritis cancers, but it can still have a significant effect on one's life. The symptom is cramping, abdominal pain, blading and gas, constipation, and diarrhea. It is not uncommon for people with IBS to have episodes of both constipation and diarrhea. Symptoms such as bloating and gas typically go away from you have a bowel movement. Symptoms of IBS are not always persistent. They can resolve only to come back. However, some people do have continuous symptoms. Home remedies for IBS. Certain home remedies or the remedies or lifestyle changes may help to relieve you IBS symptoms without the use of medication like the following. Participating in regular physical exercises, that's the one important thing. And has to practice. One has to be, you should become positive addiction. The positive addiction is nothing but going for an exercise or for an activity or for sports, anything which it brings you a kind of a strain to your body, sweat out, and that helps you. The regular exercise helps you to bring on this IBS problem. Cutting back on caffeine, beverages, those stimulants, for example, don't go for to be frequent going for a coffee or a tea. Eating smaller meals, minimizing stress, talk therapy. This is minimizing this. Sometimes what happens, it also helps psychologically. It is called as a psychotherapy. Whenever you have some issues with regard to your, physiological functioning or any kind of it, you just don't hide in yourself. You share with your people and try to know about more and more. Knowing more and more about you will become more cautious, and that helps you to overcome this kind of the problem. Taking probiotics, that is, you have you know that our bodies consist of full bacteria, and there are good germs and the bad germs. And that is one, the probiotic is nothing but in the good germs to help the relieve the gas and the bloating. And many a time, even in the pandemic time, many of the great scientists, they'll go on advising people, don't go for frequent sanitizing of your hand regularly. It's better use the soap instead of the sanitizing. So we many a times kill our the real germs which are helpful to our body system, and killing those germs, and you enhances the bad germs in your body. Avoiding deep fried or spicy food, and many a people very fond of eating the spicy chili food, and they should avoid. So insomnia, that is the one of the uh, problem that the young generation facing today because of the overwork during, especially during this pandemic time. And also changing of biological clock. Many people work in the night and sleep in the day, and many people sleep in the day and work in the night. Many people, they don't sleep at all, they work. And this happens because of the over pressure and overburden. Sleep disorder individual is insomnia is difficult to fall asleep, stay asleep, or poor people with insomnia often don't feel refreshed when they wake up from sleeping. Either this can lead to the fatigue and to other symptoms. Sleep difficulties occur at least 3 nights a week for a minimum of 3 months. Sleep difficulties creating major distress or functional difficulties in a person's life. Causes of these can be varied on the type of the problem, a disorder a person is suffering from. Short-term acute disorder may be caused by the stress. As I've already told, I've been mentioning that stress is the root cause for all the psychosomatical disorders, psychophysiological issues. An upsetting or traumatic event, whenever you get upset with some kind of an incident, even that may lead to that, and you may remember the whole day and night, you will not get in the sleep. Change your sleep habits, like sleeping in a hotel or you go for a new places, and that also lead to this problem. Physical pain due to the injuries or something, jagna, jaglong, and even certain, medication. Many a times going for a oral medication without consulting the doctors also lead to this kind of the disorders. Chronic insomnia is a type of disease that can last till even for a period of 3 months, and medical condition that may get harder to sleep, such as arthritis or back pain. Psychological issues such as anxiety or depression. Even when you are more anxious, and tomorrow you think that you are in examination or you are facing some interview, automatically you are disturbed with this sleep because of the was kind of the anxiousness, anxiety, and substance use. Many a times, that is another thing. Over alcohol use of alcohol also lead to that this thing. The sleep apnea, that is the serious sleep disorder. Sometimes you people snore loudly or feeling tired even after good sleep. And even they get sleep, a nice sleep, but tomorrow morning if you ask him that you will not be happy with the sleep. That is the one. Another last one is the diabetic. And you know that diabetic is one of the gateway for all the diseases. So symptoms of anxiety can be walking too early in the morning. Many a times people get up in the early morning, 4 o'clock, and they go for walk. And that should not become a habit. And ultimately that also lead to this insomnia. Unfrushing sleep and trouble falling or staying asleep, fatigue, mood changes, irritability, difficulty to concentrate on the daily task. Treating insomnia, sleep hygiene training may be recommended sometimes. And interfere the sleep cause insomnia, sleep hygiene training can help you change some of these disruptive behaviors. Avoiding caffeinated beverages near the bedtime, and even the cocoa plant is also implemented that cannot be kept near. And avoiding exercise near bed. I mean, many a time people, they start going for an exercise in the night at 9:30 or 8:30 before going for a sleep. That also may cause us. Minimizing time spent on your bed when you are not especially intending to sleep, such as watching TV. Nowadays, because of this pandemic, this has become a common problem, and millions of youth are suffering from this insomnia because of overwatching with the TV programs. Otherwise, they say, sitting with the mobile, going chart, having charts with the mobile, or some kind of a even games, for example, which by spending more and more time of time, they will pass knowingly and unknowingly the bed rest time, and ultimately that leads and that become a hobby, and they will going to have a lot of problem with the sleeplessness. Such and even on phone, for example, talking 2 hours together over the night, that may also. And hypertension. Hypertension is the medical term, the high blood pressure, pressure between 120 to 129 the HEG for a systolic number and more than 80, these things, the diastolic for a bottom number is considered elevated. Sometimes this becomes, almost abnormal. And when you feel that it is elevated and it moves from stage 1 to the stage 2, you will be under the primary hypertension. Primary hypertension is also known as essential hypertension. Most adults with hypertension are in the category of, despite years of research in hypertension, a specific cause is not yet known. And that is the one important thing one has to know. It is thought to be a combination of genetic, diet, lifestyle, and age. Lifestyle factors include the smoking, drinking too much of alcohol, stress, being overweight, eating too much of salt, and not getting enough exercise. Secondary hypertensions, that also varies from individual to individual. That may be because of the hormone abnormalities, thyroid abnormalities, and constrictions of the aorta, and narrowing of the arteries that supply blood to your kidneys, and adrenal gland diseases. Lifestyle changes in reducing the hypertension, not smoking, eating healthy diet, cutting back to the sugar and carbohydrate, not drinking alcohol, drinking in, I don't suggest it, and it's up to the individual. Maintaining a moderate weight, and that's most important. Managing your stress level, don't be obese, eating less salt and more potassium. So thank you, gentlemen. I hope that I have completed some of the issues. And I wanted to tell you one thing. This is not just uh, the end. This is only the beginning. And I want to tell you that every individual who regularly observing in a day-to-day life will have one or the other problem like this. And only thing is, and you have to have a kind of a positive addiction of going for an exercises or an activity and doing yoga that can reduce your physiological disorder to a certain extent. But if it is a benign and it is due to the physiological functioning, and then definitely you had to go for a doctor's. And I always suggest go to a physicians and check, verify. Don't keep yourself without telling others your problem. You share your problems, come out, and anything can be curable. And it is not that whether a depression is not a curable, and it can be curable with a right modalities, and there are always available in the clinical side. And be prepare yourself, be calm, be cool, be positive. A positive attitude is the one of the best medicine for these psychological issues which are up. With these few words, and I thank one and all for giving me an opportunity to, share my views and thoughts with regard to these issues are concerned. And this is quite a common, and in a post-COVID, you had to have once again the same exercise. Now we have adapted to one condition. After a 6 months, once again you had to change your entire, lifestyles in a different scenario, in a different change condition. As and when you change your lifestyle, automatically there will be a pros and cons with regard to these issues are concerned. Be be at home, stay at home, be healthy, happy. With these few words, I thank once again the managing committee and the principal and organizing chairman and all the members of the faculty for giving me an opportunity to, address the gathering. Thank you, one and all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving us a very good insight on issues faced by the society on post-COVID-19 and the various problems caused due to stress.
Yeah.
Moving on to the question and answer session, I request Mr. Gopal Krishna Raikar, HOD of Department of Computer Science, to take over.
Sorry. Correct. 138.
Thank you, sir, for your good, informative and wonderful session, sir, for giving us a very good insight on physiological issues during and post-COVID-19. Sir, now we'll move to question and answer session. Here is the first question, sir.
Yeah.
How to overcome stress in children that is caused due to COVID-19?
Very good question. As you all know that children's, as I already told, it's very difficult to isolate them. It is very difficult to keep them in isolation, very difficult. But one thing the parents should understand, give them space for them. Sometimes, parent tells that don't talk over the phone to some spirit group members. He has to share feel. Sometimes they may not allow to watch, even go for electronic games, and they will not watching the video. And this, especially in this COVID situation, it is very difficult to overcome the stress. So that parents has to be with them, and parents has to engage with them in some other kind of creative activity. Give some assignment, give some painting, give them some kind of a assignment to paint or to collect some of the materials and to arrange the materials in an order. There are many things you can do, and make them engage them in a creative activity. Ask them to just go for a music or a sing, even though he may not become a good singer. Ask them to sing in his own voice, enjoy it. And you, as a parent at a home, has to see that the kids are not get into the stress. It is there in hand. Ultimately, tell me, in our olden days, where there was a TV, where there are other avenues to overcome the stress, our grandmother used to tell the stories, Panchatantra stories, and take these. And, this is one way that COVID has helped us to bring all family members together, eat together, enjoy together, and share together. Whatever the problem you are facing, stay together. See that the child will lead a healthy, happy life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Second question, sir. What are the symptoms of hypertension? How to overcome it?
See, hypertension, as I've already told, is you will have a giddiness. Very simple thing. A burning sensation. And even sometimes your sensory organs becomes blocked. That is the symptoms of the hyper level of, this hypertension. But one thing is certain. As I have already told you, you kindly listen to your body. Your body triggers and give you some kind of a signal. You're not normal. As soon as you get something and you just sit in a corner, go for a meditation, go for breathing exercise. And even you need not go for a regular, yogic just to practice this. Wherever you are, in whatever the position, even during at work, just bring down your entire these thing pressures through yogic practices, deep inhalation and exhalation. And it is nothing but, oxygenating the cell. You oxygenate the cell, supply the glucose to the cell, and make them to more creative. Automatically, your hypertension level will come down. And whenever you're hypertension, don't go for, for a inflammatory, these things like a coffee or a tea, or don't choose go for a smoking or an alcohol. When you are hypertension, your first point is to bring down your heartbeat down. That can only done through the yoga and meditation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What are the physiological effects caused due to insomnia?
Yeah. I have told you in the last, this thing, insomnia causes with regard to the, once you are in a sleepless mood, automatically your mood is disturbed. And physiologically, and it disturbs your digestive tract, and automatically it raises your, uh, uh, what is that, hypertension. And many a time the this insomnia is sometimes it become a problem which is invited by your own youngster. See, once you become very habit of going for a regular, watching TV, watching or going for some kind of an activity, you definitely lead to the kind of a this thing. And a natural treatment, 100% it is curable. Insomnia can be curable 100% with the natural treatment. But every time it becomes very difficult to get the natural treatment, as I have told you, that going for a treatment of insomnia is running for a whole world. You will not get any this thing. But only thing, you should get down your this thing, habits, bring down your habits and stresses to the maximum level. When you bring down your stress and whatever the problem you have in your day, that's why in our earlier period, our people used to tell that going for a bed, you go with a very good mood. Earlier, people used to tell, even the children has to be taught, or even giving some kind of a, what is called that storytelling for them to go for a sleep. And insomnia may cause to many of ultimately it may lead to the depression. It may be lead to the depression. Insomnia can be cared very cautiously, and it is better you go to the doctor, a well-known doctor, and get some kind of a treatment and tip words from him.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
During this social isolation, how to attend and solve the insomnia problems with introvert teenagers?
Oh,
Please suggest some remedies, sir.
oh, he is already introvert. Introvert, he always like to be in isolation. When he is in isolation, he is already in an introvert. It's not a problem for him. The problem will occur for those who are an extroverts. And insomnia in an introvert who cannot share his problem with others, and he cannot go, with the, what you call his feelings, his own thresholds. If he keep in himself, it becomes very, very difficult. The one way is to share with others. He has to share his problems, he share his issues, and try to become more social. If he is introvert, and you have to change to the some kind of an extraversion. Otherwise, the family parents should see that he is being engaged, and he should not be isolated. Otherwise, isolation itself is a big challenge for any human being, for that matter. Especially when a person is isolated, that is considered as a punishment. Once if he is isolated, automatically his mood becomes socially, a kind of a punishment. He cannot enjoy his space. Seeing very well that it's better in such a case, I suggest to go to the psychologist, refer to the psychologist, take some clues from a psychologist. I am not an expert in treating these psychological issues, but I can quote some of the remedies through the literature. But good thing is, So I suggest to go to a psychologist and have some psychotherapy, this thing, treatment for such kind of problems.
Thank you, sir. Last question, sir.
Yeah.
Nowadays, even in young age, people are getting cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
How can you overcome this?
I have told you, cardiac arrest is not just, external one. Many a time it is a genetic fact. It may be from a genetic aspect. One other thing is because of the obese. Most of if it is not genetic, most of the sedentary life, leads to this. And intake of calories. There should be very minimize of intaking calories and becoming more obese. If any childs become more obese, nowadays it is the biggest problem in India because of this junk food and lack of exercises and activities. They are prone to these kind of the diseases. The only way is to a disciplined life, balance in the exercise and the food habits. And they have to be very careful with regard to the intake. If they are already obese, if they are obese always especially in any obese individual, he is fond of eating more, and he eats more, and added to his more calories of these things, cholesterol, and ultimately that lead to the heart attack. To reduce your eating habits and follow the protocol of eating order with the suggestion of the doctor, and reduce your weight and be active. Be active in the exercise. The exercises and activities can bring down. And even you must be very careful when you prescribe the exercise for a obese person. You have to go for a simple to complex. See that his cholesterol comes down and heart becomes stronger. That's what the only suggestion we can give to the people, especially those in the childhood, because of their eating habits or because of the genetic factors, and becoming obese is become a problem for the cardiac diseases. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, sir, for answering and responding so well for the question posted by our participants.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I request Sri Srikant R, Secretary, Physical Education Foundation of India, Karnataka chapter, to give a brief highlights on today's session.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Srikant.
On the outset of this International Faculty Development Program organized by Besant College, I first of all wholeheartedly thanks and congratulate you for your brief presentation, psychological and physiological aspects relating to COVID periods. And for all the viewers present here, I'd like to just brief about Dr. Sundar Raj Urs. Dr. Sundar Raj Urs is one of the stalwarts in the field of physical education, and who has seen physical education in various aspects as a sportsman, as a lecturer, as a professor, as a principal of the college. And when coming into administration, he's acted as a registrar evaluation, director of physical education, and he has organized a lot of inter-university competitions. So almost sir has balanced between sports, yoga and physical education. And ultimately sir has remained with physical education. He has not taken deviation from sports or yoga. And at this outset, I thank Dr. Sundar Raj Urs sir for coming down and giving this brief explanation, and with regarding to the psychological and physiological well-being during the COVID period. To just highlight, sir has been constantly in touch with physical education and all the physical education related activities in and around state, and sir is also a policy maker. Sir has been a policy maker for Bangalore University, and he's been part of the Sports Policy Committee of State Government of Karnataka. And sir has been an advisor for various sports boards and even for AIU for a short period. And sir, just to bring to your notice, we have got a lot of stalwarts present here in the field of physical education, those who are listening to the session today. I think we have got Dr. Kishore sir, we have got especially Jairaj sir from Athletic Federation of India, who is keenly watching the program from the beginning. Thank you very much, Jairaj sir and Kishore sir, and many others. I think Dr. Prakash sir is here, and many others. We were getting calls from the beginning, like to send the link, and we had circulated the link to everyone. And for all those who have missed the session to watch fully or partially, or those who have not watched the session, it is available on Pefi Karnataka YouTube. You can go back and see the session completely. It is present there. And we have got a lot of people from Bangalore University, from Karnataka, and many from out of Karnataka. And they are learning the culture, like what is happening in Karnataka exactly. And Pefi Karnataka is doing a lot of events related to faculty development programs and webinars, workshops, and everything. Sundar Raj Urs sir is also behind Pefi Karnataka. He is a patron for Pefi Karnataka, and he's also a patron member for Pefi India. So on the outside, all those who are present here, I request everyone to kindly register with our YouTube channel, YouTube subscription, Pefi Karnataka YouTube subscription, and Facebook. And you're always open to conduct any events with Pefi Karnataka. And I would like to associate with Dr. Sundar Raj Urs sir in a bigger way in the upcoming days. Sure. And Dr. Sundar Raj Urs and the entire team, those are behind Pefi, and those are stalwarts in the field of physical education, and those are patron members for Pefi Karnataka. We would be expecting a lot of programs with the young team what we have formed to take this forward. There are two teams, one with all these stalwarts in the field of physical education, and one young brigade who has completely taken up the charge of running the events. Thank you very much, Dr. Sundar Raj Urs sir.
Thank you.
And we will always be with you and physical education. And I thank one and all for kindly patiently watching this program for almost more than one and a half hour. Thank you, Besant College, and thank you, the complete technical team of Besant College. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shrikant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Participants, please note, resource person for tomorrow's session is Dr. K.V. Shenoy, teacher, Art of Living, International and former director and professor of physical education, Bangalore University. Topic is meditation and pranayama for healthy life. Link for tomorrow's session will be provided in WhatsApp group at 9 a.m. As we have come to the end of this session, I request Ms. Dikshita T.S., Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, to propose the vote of thanks.
Unmute.
A very good afternoon on behalf of the management, principal, staff and students of Besant Women's College and the FDP organizing committee. I, Dikshita T.S. from the Department of Commerce, deemed it my privilege to propose the vote of thanks. Melody Betty said, I quote, "Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates vision for tomorrow." I unquote. My heart fills with lots of gratitude and respect for our distinguished resource person, Dr. Sundar Raj Urs, former principal of UCPE, Dean Faculty of Education, Bangalore University, and former Registrar Evaluation, Bangalore, North University. In spite of his busy schedule, he has happily agreed to spare his valuable time with us and grace this FDP with his thought-provoking address on the topic psychophysiological issues during and post-COVID-19. I also acknowledge my deep sense of gratitude for his timely guidance and valuable suggestion for this FDP. In this occasion, I would like to express my gratitude, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You made our day information which you shared will surely help us. Thank you, sir. I express my sincere thanks to Shri Shrikant R, Secretary, Physical Education Foundation of India, Karnataka chapter, for his support and guidance. Thank you, sir. A sincere thanks to Shri Srinivasa Ji, Nodal Officer, Department of Collegiate Education, for his kind help and support. I candidly acknowledge my deep sense of gratitude to Shri K. Devanand Pai, Secretary of Women's National Education Society, the correspondent of Besant Women's College, and our beloved principal, Dr. Satish Kumar Shetty P, for their constant support. Heartfelt thanks. I would like to congratulate and express my thanks to Ms. Rupati M, Physical Director, Besant Women's College, the main pillar of FDP. Without your constant effort, this FDP would not have happened. Thank you, Ms. Rupati. A special thanks to Professor Usha Kumari, the moderator of this session, for introducing the resource person. My heartfelt thanks to our advisory, Professor S. Syed Kader, IQAC coordinator, and all my dear colleagues for their untiring support. Thank you all. A special thanks to Ms. Shaila Kamath for the Master of Ceremony, and Mr. Gopal Krishna Raikar and Mr. Ritesh for the technical support. Once again, I thank all who directly and indirectly helped us and be with us in this pleasant afternoon. I wish all a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
The attendance link is posted in the chat box. Meeting will remain open for 5 minutes. Please fill the attendance form immediately. E-certificates will be generated and issued to your registered email ID within 5 days of the completion of all sessions. Thank you. Have a nice day.